Hello, everybody. It's Kadzowe. What is the truth about slavery? I'm going to share with you 3 facts that, in looking at a lot of literature, talking to individuals who have been taught about the subject, are missing. Things that I learned in my African history classes that I feel are so important about the truth and can be a source of understanding and possibly a step towards healing. We all know that African Americans have been slaves longer than they have been free. And we, the enslaved, and I include myself, because when we look at the whole subject of slavery, it did affect the Africans who came into the Western world, who have now settled in the Western world, hence African Americans. So it is about all of who we are, including those of us from Europe, including those of us from Asia, all of us across the world. And so I'm going to share with you those 3 facts, and hopefully they'll be able to help in understanding. The first truth, unknown truth, or untapped truth about slavery that I see that is sometimes mentioned, but not a lot of emphasis is given to it, is that slavery was about power. It really was about power. Slavery was something that happened at that time period. It was almost like the norm of the times, where those with power really affected those that really had no power. And so it was practiced in many, many parts of the world. It was practiced in Africa, it was practiced in Europe, it was practiced in Asia. And as a result of the agrarian age and the fact that agriculture was the way of life, and in the class system where slaves were often bought to labor, it really was about power. Now, I know that over the years, it has been kind of just, for lack of a better word, reduced into just a racial concept. And that's just not entirely true. It was about power because there were people also of African descent that had slaves as well. And so this was a world condition of the time. This actually leads to the second fact and truth about slavery that has not been really talked about or really discussed as much in literature and in the media as much, is that it did impact everybody, and that it wasn't only the Africans that were taken as slaves. In fact, if you are able to study it more and look at it more, Europeans were taken as slaves as well. In fact, the Irish were taken as slaves as well. And it was a horrendous time where individuals and human beings were captured and they were enslaved for various reasons in the agrarian age, mostly for their labor. But I think it's very interesting how it has been just deduced to this perception of Black versus white, when in reality, slavery really affected a lot of people. And that really is a true fact. Third fact that I will share about slavery as an unknown truth that hasn't been tapped into is the whole issue of how were all these people able to be enslaved, and why couldn't they get away? There was always this perception, because when you look at all the historical pictures and you look at what happened in Zanzibar, which is black market. Zanzi means black and bar means market. So if any of you have ever gone to Zanzibar, to be able to kind of just get a historical sense of how, in this particular case, the Africans were enslaved and taken into the Western world. The common perception is that the middlemen or the Arab middlemen were so few, and so were the European conquerors, that when they were boarded on the ships and put together, why were they not able to escape? There's always that question that many of my friends in discussions have often asked. Well, this is the answer and the reality about that. Africa is made of over 50 countries. There are thousands of tribes within Africa. In fact, it takes 3 United States of America to fill up the whole of Africa. And so everybody seems to think that because you're African or because you're Black, that we all know each other, that it is, that there's no difference. How can you put people who speak one language with people that speak another language and expect them to come up with a rhetoric that will help them be able to escape. So what was interesting during that time is that the European, slave people at the time would get the Arab as middlemen. So the Arabs are the ones who would go into the different, ethnographic groups, and they would capture, and then they would place strategically. So it was actually a strategic thing that they would do, is they would capture, Africans from this tribe, and they would put them together. So, when you capture somebody from the Dahomey and capture somebody from the Ashanti tribe, and you put these people together in a way that they cannot communicate with one another on how to escape, then it becomes virtually impossible. And then there's the psychological fear. People always think that Black people are aggressive and that this is something that they should have been able to escape. When you are kidnapped, when you were held against your will, when you've been taken from the fields when you were just working to provide for your family, and you put in a situation like that, there is fear, there's psychological shock, and there's an inability to communicate with people who you probably have never seen. So something for you guys to think about. So folks, those are the three, truths that I thought that I would share with you when it comes to this whole thing about slavery. I know that it is a difficult conversation to have, and I welcome your respective, informative, and educational thoughts on this topic that affects and continues to affect a lot of people. So thank you for watching my Ancestry videos, and please comment below and let me know your thoughts. And if you do have some feedback, and if you do have something that you would like to contribute, please do so in a respectful manner, because remember, what we're trying to do is provide an environment where we can engage, where we can learn, and most importantly, where we can grow. Until my next Ancestry video. Bye.